Welcome, everyone. My name is Simon Wright. I'm the Director of Programming here at Japan House London. And thank you very much for joining us at Japan House London for this special event, exploring how local government and community organizations work together with the people of Biratori to ensure that Ainu culture and the Ainu cultural landscape are preserved and passed on for future generations. Today, in addition to our audience here at Japan House London in the hall, we are broadcasting to a virtual audience on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. So a warm welcome to all our online viewers. The event is being recorded, and a recording will be archived on our social media platforms following the event. So today's event accompanies Japan House London's gallery exhibition, Ainu Stories, Contemporary Lives by the Saru River, and is the last in a series of events with our special guests from Biratori in Hokkaido that have been happening this month. During this event, 3 Biratori-based presenters, Shimano Kenji, Nagano Tamaki, Kimura Misaki, introduce their current activities, the challenges they face, and their visions for the future. And before their presentations, to tell us more about the Ainu cultural landscape in Biratori, I'd like to welcome Professor Kato Hirofumi, Professor of Archaeology at the Center for Ainu and Indigenous Studies at Hokkaido University. Please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Kato Hirofumi. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, for the kind introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hirofumi Kato from Hokkaido University, Japan. Today, I'd like to talk about the original characteristic of Ainu culture and the cultural landscape in the Saru River Basin. So Professor Iku Tuan, who was a geographer, said that culture influences perception. And he argued that it is important to record who was here and what they did, and also who is here now. Following his thinking, a cultural landscape may be defined as a space in which lives and memory are embedded. Saru River Basin has many stories. People started living at this river basin 10,000 years ago, and since then, many stories have been told by the people. The Ainu of the Saru River Basin called themselves Sarukuru. Its meaning is the people of the Saru River in Ainu language. And they have formed a unique culture. The culture and the landscape preserved in the Saru River Basin was designated as an important cultural landscape by the national Japanese government in 2007 as a cultural landscape of the Saru River Basin, formed by Ainu tradition and modernization in interwoven. The Ainu culture is embedded in the natural environment, their living space. The Ainu living space is called iwor in Ainu language. The Saru River Basin iwor are divided into the land iwor and the sea iwor. The land iwor is also divided into the mountain iwor, which are the hunting area, and the river iwor, which is a fishing ground. The Ainu place names are associated with hunting, fishing, gathering wild plants, and the natural landform. Place names are also recorded as Ainu's way of life and part of their story. This picture shows a place called Chashi, where the legendary Ainu's heroes Okikurumi-Kamui lived there. In the Saru River Basin, Ainu moose and natives are embedded in the natural landscape as represented by this landform. Such an Ainu cultural landscape was once in a crisis. This was a construction of a dam in Nibutani. 2 elders, Shigeru Kayano and Tadashi Kaizawa, spoke out against the construction of the dam. The outcome of the court case was that elders' arguments were accepted and national government lost the case. dam remain. However, importance of Ainu culture and its connection with the landscape was recognized by the national government. Following my talk, there will be a report and a case study of the effort to pass on the Ainu culture in the town of Biratori, or a project by the local community member to take research to the preserved Ainu culture. Currently, various initiatives are being undertaken in the Saru River Basin to promote and carry on the Ainu culture. Saru River Basin to promote and there are several important features of this initiative worth attention. One of these is the effort to the preserve and carry on the Ainu culture are carried out by the local Ainu people themselves.
21st century forest section at the Biratori Ainu Culture Public Corporation. She's dedicated to the regeneration of the local forests with the aim of reconstructing the iwor, the Ainu term for the natural environment that sustains the Ainu way of life. The speakers will be joined by Air Kurosawa, who will be interpreting for us for this event. Will you please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Shimano Kenji.
イランからプテ、こんにちは。
Hello, everyone.
ビラトリ町アイヌ施策推進課の島野と申します。
My name is Shimano, and I am from the Ainu Policy Promotional Division of Biratori Town Office.
どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Nice to meet you all.
私からはアイヌ施策に関わるビラトリ町と国の取り組みについてご説明いたします。
Today, I will be speaking about the Ainu-related policies and the efforts from both Biratori Town and on the national level.
これまでビラトリ町としてはアイヌ文化の保全と継承に力を入れてきました。
Biratori Town has strived to promote and transmit the Ainu culture of the preservation.
ビラトリ町がアイヌ関連施策を行う際に年に2回、町内のアイヌ関係団体、商工業団体、地域住民の代表、学識者の方々に事前にビラトリ町が行う事業に対して意見交換を行っています。
Biratori Town holds meetings twice annually in order to decide the Ainu-related policies. And this involves Ainu-related organizations within the town, trade organizations, the representative of the local communities, academics, in order to decide and interview about what is to be decided.
事業内容のチェック、実施中の状況、結果についての報告、次への問題点を洗い出すために実施しています。
And this meeting takes place to check the policy, the contents of the policies, as well as the current situations, and reporting the end results and determine the next challenges.
この事業内容はアイヌ語の教育活動、踊りや儀式儀礼などの伝承保存活動、アイヌ文化を生かした観光の振興などがございます。
Our preservation efforts include the promotion of the Ainu language, education of the Ainu language, and promotion and preserving the rituals, including dance, and to promote the sightseeing, sightseeing with the Ainu culture.
それではビラトリ町が取り組んできたアイヌ文化の伝承活動への支援について一部ご紹介します。
I will show you some examples of what Biratori Town has been conducting in order to promote Ainu culture.
こちらの写真はアイヌの代表的な儀式の一つでカムイノミと言います。
This picture shows Kamui no Mi, one of the one of the representative Ainu ceremonies.
神に祈るという意味で、家を建てる時などの祭事の際に行います。
Kamuy no mi means praying to the god, spirit deities. And this is done in notable occasions such as building houses.
こちらの写真は、チプサン家といい、船下ろしを意味します。
And this picture shows Chipsanke, which means launch of the ship.
古くから伝わる技法で作られた船を川へ下ろし、船に新たな命を与えるための入魂の儀式です。
This ceremony is being done when the ship that was built in the historical method, and once the first time that it goes on the river, this ritual takes place.
このような儀式、儀礼や所作などの調査の保存活動に関わる経費や関係団体の運営費の助成などを行い、後世に残していく取り組みを行っています。
We take on the research to look into these ceremonies, historical ceremonies and rituals and customs, and take on the expenses as well as support the operational cost of the related organizations.
次に、アイヌ民族に関わる国の取り組みについて簡潔に説明します。
Next, I will share the policies related to Ainu people on the governmental level.
1800年代後期、日本各地から北海道への植民策で移住者が増加してきました。
In the late 1800s, due to the promotion for the immigration and to Hokkaido, the number of immigrants to Hokkaido has increased.
開拓使や北海道庁は、先住していたアイヌの人たちに、一部の地域で農業の奨励や教育、医療などの施策を行ってきましたが、取り組みが十分ではなく、次第に生活に困窮するアイヌの人たちが増えてきました。
The Hokkaido Development Commission and Hokkaido government tried to support Ainu people on a limited capacity to promote farming and education, and medical measures were implemented, but it wasn't enough at the time. Therefore, many Ainu people struggled in their livelihoods.
1の北海道旧土人保護法を1899年に制定されました。
Following this, in 1899, Hokkaido Former Aborigines Protection Act was set up, which is listed as number 1.
これはアイヌの人たちを日本国民に同化させることを目的に、土地を付与し、農業を奨励することをはじめ、医療、生活扶助、教育などの保護対策を行うものでしたが、これまでの土地の没収、漁業、狩猟の禁止、アイヌ固有の習慣、風習の禁止、日本語使用の義務、日本風氏名への改名などが合わせて行われました。
The primary goal of this was for Ainu people to fully integrate into Japanese community and live as Japanese people. So on paper, it was to grant the land and to promote the further farming in the community. However, that meant confiscating the original land they were using, prohibiting fishing and hunting, and prohibiting also the original customs and culture within Ainu, such as prohibition of the original name usage and changing into Japanese names.
その後、2のアイヌ文化振興法が1997年に施行されましたが、こちらも十分な取り組みとは言えませんでした。
As an extension from the first Protection Act, there what is listed as number 2, Ainu Culture Promotional Act, was set up in 1997, but this wasn't enough to protect Ainu people.
その後、2008年に国会において、アイヌ民族を先住民族とすることを求める決議が採択されたことを契機に、新たな法整備について検討がなされ、アイヌ施策推進法が2019年に施行されました。
In 2019, the Ainu Policy Promotion Act was implemented, following on from the 2008 decision to fully certify Ainu people as the indigenous population of Japan.
国内法でアイヌ民族を先住民族と認めた初めての法律になります。
It was the first act to fully recognize Ainu people as the indigenous population.
このアイヌ施策推進法は、差別の禁止や教育活動、広報活動を行うことが国と地方公共団体の責任で行うこととなり、内容としてはこれまでの文化振興、福祉施策に加え、地域振興や産業振興、観光振興などについて取り組みが実施されるようになりました。
This Ainu Policy Promotional Act made sure that there won't be any prejudice against Ainu people and further promote education and promotional efforts of the culture on not only on the municipal level, but on a governmental level. And this was the first effort on the national level. And the contents of their act was to further promote the cultural and promotional activities, as well as fully set up the social and welfare policies. And it was done on it was to set up the framework for the local communities, as well as encouraging visitors to understand about these details.
2019年に施行されたアイヌ施策推進法では、国の支援として交付金事業が創設されました。
As part of this Ainu Policy Promotional Act in 2019, grants and subsidies have been set up to support these efforts.
その事業の一つとして、現在のアイヌ文化やアイヌ工芸について、日本国内でも認知度は低く、もっと多くの方に知ってもらうことが課題となっています。
To further promote Ainu culture as well as Ainu crafts, it is one of the challenges for us to make sure that this has been promoted well enough, as many people in Japan aren't aware.
そこでアイヌ工芸の新たな購買層と販路の獲得のため、販売店やブランドプロデューサーとの商品開発や販売についての検討を続けています。
To ensure that we have enough client base as well as these items to be promoted, we work in collaboration with the retailers as well as brand producers to decide on new items and avenues.
この写真は伝統工芸産業の鋳物メーカーと共同し、アイヌ文化の要素を取り入れた新商品を開発するといった取り組みを行っており、交付金を活用し、若手工芸家の育成に力を入れています。
This slide shows the examples of our collaboration efforts with the metalwork crafts and that when we promoted and when we worked together with young artists and this was used as part of the grant subsidiary schemes.
また、同じくアイヌ工芸の事業において、イベントを開催するなどの機会の創出を行っています。
We also hold events to promote Ainu crafts.
こちらのイベントでは、工芸品の説明や木彫体験のワークショップを実施、 アイヌ文化やアイヌ工芸について触れる機会を用意しています。
These events provide opportunities for people to learn more about Ainu craft as well as experiencing wood carving through workshops.
このように新たな法律により、さまざまな取り組みに国からの支援がされるようになりました。
Through various efforts, on the national level, the support and grants are being provided for these measures.
この後は、国と共同し進めているビラトリダム建設に関わる取り組みについては、長野から、ビラトリ町からの交付金業務は、木村からご報告させていただきます。
And following on to my presentations, Nagano-san will talk about the measures for the Biratori Dam constructions, which has been done with the government, collaboration with the government, as well as Kimura-san will talk about the grant subsidiary scheme from Biratori Town.
私からの報告を終わります。ありがとうございました。
Thank you for listening to my presentation.
イランからプテ、長野と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Hello, my name is Nagano. Nice to meet you all.
私からはアイヌ文化環境保全対策事業についてどのようなことを行ってきたかご報告したいと思います。
My presentation talks about the Ainu cultural environmental conservation project and our efforts.
事業の目的はビラトリダム建設地や猿川流域での河川工事による環境への影響をアイヌ文化の観点から調査、保全のあり方を検討、対策を実施する事業となっています。
Our project is the assessment of the environmental effects of the construction works of the Biratori Dam construction area and Saru River region. And we assess this from the Ainu cultural perspectives to research to ensure preservation and promotion of the area.
ダム建設に伴う影響調査に11名の職員で8つの分野について調査を行っています。
For this research, we have 11 staff members involved in 8 different divisions.
こちらは2022年末に完成したビラトリダムです。
And this slide shows Biratori Dam, which was completed in 2022.
ビラトリ町にはニブタニダムとビラトリダムの2つのダムがあります。
Biratori Town has 2 dams, Nibutani and Biratori.
ニブタニダムを建設した当時はアイヌ民族、アイヌ文化に関心が低く、十分な配慮もないままダム建設が開始されました。
When Nibutani Dam was built, the interest level on Ainu people and culture were not high enough. So there wasn't enough efforts being made to protect the natural environment for those people.
その結果、住民運動やダム裁判などが行われ、この調査が始まるきっかけとなりました。
This has resulted in protests from the local communities as well as the trials related to the dam constructions, which has propelled onto the research that I have been involved.
ニブタニダム建設時の経緯を踏まえ、国はビラトリダム建設計画にあたり、建設予定地についてアイヌ文化環境保全対策を考慮するための調査をビラトリ町に委託しました。
To learn from the Nibutani Dam constructions, the government has contracted Biratori Town to make sure that enough research is being taken for the measures against Ainu cultural promotion and environmental protection.
これを受けてビラトリ町は町内に移住するアイヌの人たちを中心に学識経験者数名を加えた調査委員会を設け設置し、合わせてアイヌ文化環境保全対策調査がスタートいたしました。
Following on from this, Biratori Town has set up the investigation committee involving academics and the experts who resided in the town to set up the Ainu cultural environmental protection, and the research started from this point onwards.
現在は 3社、国、ビラトリ町、ビラトリアイヌ協会で協議を重ね、対策について検討されてきました。
The research carries on with three parties, government, Biratori Town, and Biratori Ainu Association.
その調査内容をまとめたものが中間報告書、総括報告書としてまとめられました。
And the research results were compiled into both interim report as well as summary report.
このような取り組みは世界でも類を見ない調査に地域住民であるアイヌ民族自身が取り組んでいます。
And this level of in-depth research is unprecedented, even when you look at other examples of indigenous people. And what is different is that Ainu people themselves are part of this research.
総括報告書については翻訳作業が進められていると聞いています。
I have heard that the summary report is being translated into different languages.
この事業を進めていく中で基本的な考え方として3つの手法を用いた保全対策を行ってきました。
As part of this research project, we have based this on three methods and ideas.
これまで調査した内容を形として残していくための記録による保全。
And the first is to conservation through documentation.
それから蓄積してきたことを実践し、今の生活の中に生かしていくための行為による保全。
Conservation through action is the next one in order for these research results to be able to be implemented in daily lives.
工事で影響を受ける場所などを保全対策の実施の場として発展的に整備する場による保全です。
And the third is conservation at site level to ensure the safety of the preservation and promotion.
記録による保全では、主にアイヌ語地名に関しての調査を行ってきました。
And for the first effort, conservation through documentation, we have done the research of the geographical names in the Ainu language.
地名には地形、言い伝えなど空間に関する貴重な情報が含まれています。
Geographical names often include the original landscapes and the folklore, and which were extremely valuable information.
聞き取り調査や文献や地図などから猿川流域とぬかびら流域のアイヌ語地名520カ所についてデータベースをまとめています。
We have compiled a database of 520 places around Sarugawa region and Niragawa regions in the Ainu language.
データベースの情報を整理し、冊子やパンフレットも作成しています。
And we have organized the information on the database to create leaflets.
パンフレットはアイヌ語地名学習会の際に活用しています。
And these leaflets are being used at the workshops into the geographical names of the Ainu language.
行為による保全として、地域のアイヌの方々が大切にしてきた場所、祈りの対象となる山、湧き水、利用してきた場所など、聞き取り調査によって明らかになった場所について保全対策を検討してきました。
In conservation through actions, we have looked into the places that were valued by local Ainu community. Some of the example would be the mountains that they have used as their praying grounds and spring, the places of spring and where they have utilized. And through research interviews, we have looked into these places to consider further promotion and protection.
ビラトリ町で行われてきたカムイの実、神への祈りや調査で実施した儀礼など、儀礼ごとに流れや所作をまとめ、祝詞の収集なども行ってきています。
We also looked into Kamui no Mi, the prayer and the grand ceremony towards spirit deities, which have been held by Biratori town, as well as other rituals and ceremonies, to document the order and mannerism within, and to collect the prayers themselves.
現在、ビラトリ地域で行われているアイヌの儀礼、儀式において、どのような形で継承されてきているのか、 記録、整理することにより文化伝承にも寄与しているところです。
We believe by recording and collecting these Ainu ceremonies and rituals, this further promotes into the preservation and the continuation of these cultural elements.
場による保全として伝統的に利用してきた植物を保全するエリアの設定と整備を進めています。
And through conservation at site level, we make sure that the plants and the trees that have historically been used by Ainu people these to be protected.
主に工芸素材となる木本や食用、薬用植物など、アイヌ文化にとって有用性の高い植物の栽培試験を行ってきました。
We have conducted cultivation trials for the trees which were used for the crafts, wood carving, as well as the plants that have been eaten, as well as used for medicinal purposes.
試験の際には種ごとに工程や手順をまとめ、栽培マニュアルを作成しています。
At every trial, we make sure that the order of these cultivation efforts have been documented, as well as the process is to be compiled as an instruction.
育てた苗木は保全モデル地区として35カ所選定した地区に移植を実施しています。
And these cultivated plants are being planted in the 35 places that we have, areas that we have assigned.
この後のスライドで紹介するノカピライオーロ標本園もその一つとなっています。
And I will be showing Nokapiro Exhibition Garden in the later slides, but that is one of the sites that we have assigned.
これまで木本55種類、総本42種類の栽培試験を試みました。
So far, we have done 55 cultivation trials for 55 trees, as well as 42 plants.
栽培試験で育成した植物を活用して、アイヌの伝統民具制作の再現にも取り組んでいます。
And through these trees and plants that we have cultivated, we are restoring some of the historical crafts of Ainu crafts.
2022年より17年ぶりとなる鮭の稚魚放流も実施しています。
And since 2022, we have begun releasing the salmon fry, and this was, and the last one was done in 17 years prior.
最終目標は地域に根ざした川の文化の再定着を図ることです。
Our ultimate goal is to create the culture and the communities utilizing the river, which is to become the local community.
アイヌ文化保全対策としてこれまで調査してきたものを公開していく新たな空間としてダム管理棟に併設されたノカピライオーロビジターセンターが作られました。
As part of the Ainu cultural preservation efforts, we have set up Nokapiro Visitor Center next to Dam Control Center to exhibit and showcase our research efforts.
施設周辺にはフットパスや標本園、祈りの対象となる山などを見る場所もあり、アイヌ文化が学べ、体感できる見学スポットのインフォメーションを提供できる施設が整備されています。
And this provides an integrated information center as it around the visitor center. There is a footpath, exhibition garden, as well as the mountain, which was used as the prayer grounds for the Ainu people.
ビラトリダム周辺における核となる重要な施設であると言えます。
We could say that it provides the core of the Biratori Dam region.
施設内には対策室がこれまで行ってきた調査内容やビラトリダム建設にかかる地域との経緯やぬかびら川周辺とアイヌ文化について紹介する展示ブースや資料施設が設置され、
And within the research center, there is an exhibition space to showcase the research results by our office, as well as showing the step-by-step of the Biratori Dam construction and how it links onto the nearby regions, as well as showing Ainu culture and its information.
アイヌ語で家を意味するチセをイメージした建物も整備されています。
As part of the exhibit, we have chise, which means house in the Ainu language.
先ほど触れましたカピライオーロ標本園はアイヌ民族植物園としての整備を進めてきた場所です。
As I have explained, this exhibition garden no Kapiro is to really show it is the botanical garden which showcases Ainu within the Ainu culture and history.
画像中央の奥に小さく見えている建物がビラトリダムの堤体となっています。
You can see the building in the center of the slide, and it is the Biratori Dam. It is the edge of the Biratori Dam.
人の一生を表現するというコンセプトのもと、園内を5つのゾーンに分け、ビラトリダム建設によって失われたり減ってしまう木粉や草本の移植や種から育てた苗木の植栽を行いながら整備を進めています。
The concept of this space is to represent a human life. So this ground, this exhibition space garden has been divided into 5 different sectors to show the losses of the plants and trees through the Biratori Dam construction. And we have planted these trees that would have been lost otherwise.
標本園内の様子です。四季折々の木々の表情が観察できます。
And these pictures were all taken at the exhibition garden. You can see the 4 seasons and different size and expressions of these gardens.
最後になりますが、これまでたくさんの方々に協力をいただきました。
And last but not least, I just want to say thank you to everyone who have collaborated and supported us.
中でも聞き取り調査は生活に根付いた情報がたくさんあり、もっと知りたいということばかりでした。
And especially through our research interviews, I have learned so much valuable information which were embedded in the Ainu culture and daily lives. And I just wanted to learn even more.
約20年間の間に蓄積された情報を整理し、地域の方々に還元していくことが私たちの仕事だと思っています。
I believe our main task is to learn and organize the information that have been accumulated through the last 20 years.
すべての業務を紹介することはできませんでしたが、このような場を設けていただいたジャパンハウスの方々に感謝を申し上げます。
Not only to organize, but to make sure that this information goes back into the local community. I couldn't share every efforts that we have been making, but I very much appreciate and would like to say thank you to Japan House for giving me this opportunity.
本当にありがとうございました。孫のやえらいけれ。
Thank you very much.
続きまして株式会社ビラトリ町アイヌ文化振興公社木村美咲よりご報告いたします。
Next presentation will be done by Kimura Misaki from Ainu Biratori Ainu Culture Public Corporation Incorporated.
イランカラプテ木村美咲と申します。
Hello, my name is Kimura Misaki.
たくさんの方が真剣に話を聞いているのでとても緊張しています。
I am quite nervous because everyone seems to be so intent when listening to presentations, so I'm a little nervous by your severity.
さて、今回このような素晴らしい展示会を開き、私をロンドンへ呼んでくれたサイモンさん、そしてスタッフの皆さん、本当にありがとうございます。
First of all, thank you very much to Japan House staff, especially Simon and all the staff members who have invited me to London. Thank you.
本日は私自身の業務に対する考えや課題、そして展望についてお話しさせていただきます。
Today, I would like to share the works that we have been doing, but also my ideas of what it involves, as well as our future visions.
私の仕事は、アイヌが生活に必要な材料を採取する場、狩り場のことをアイヌ語でイオルと言いますが、そのイオルを再生させることです。
And my work, if I were to summarize, would be to make sure to restore the hunting ground, which is to be used by Ainu people to hunt and preserve, to capture what is needed for life, and that is called iwor, and my work mainly is to restore that iwor.
そして私たち、アイヌがカムイとして大切にしているシマフクロウが、人間の影響によって絶滅危惧種となっているため、シマフクロウが住める森を再生させるというプロジェクトを行っています。
We also run a project to make sure to preserve the fish owl, which is one of the Kamuy, spirit deities, is in Ainu culture. But this fish owl is an endangered species. And so our project is to make sure that the forest is the habitable ground for the fish owl.
このプロジェクトはただシマフクロウという動物がビラトリの森に戻ってくるというだけではなく、シマフクロウが住める森があるということは、森や川が豊かになり、生物多様な森林になるということです。
But our project doesn't just focus on the fish owl and its habitable ground. What it means is that if the forest becomes habitable for the fish owl, it inevitably means that it is biodiverse. The forest and the river nearby is rich and healthy, and we want to make sure that we are providing these biodiverse environment.
そして自然と共存してきたアイヌ民族にとって文化を継承していくためには、このようなイオロが必要となります。
In order to preserve and promote Ainu culture, it is essential to preserve this natural environment because Ainu people have lived with the nature.
森を再生させることは簡単にできるものではなく、とても時間がかかるため、300年の森づくりとして計画しています。
Restoring forest is no easy task, and it takes a long time. Therefore, this preservation effort is being planned for the next 300 years.
プロジェクトは4つの業務に分けています。
And this project has been divided into 4 different sections.
自然と向き合い、現在の状況をしっかりと把握していくと、さまざまな課題が見えてきました。
By facing what is currently happening in the nature and to assessing its current situations, we have determined these 4 different challenges.
これから4つの業務の内容について説明します。
I will delve into these 4 into details.
1つ目は、シマフクロウが生息できる空間づくりです。
And first is to create the habitable space, habitable ground suitable for the fish owl.
現在のビラトリ町の森を調査したところ、お金になるような太い広葉樹はほとんど切ってしまい、そこに育ちの早いカラマツなど針葉樹を植えたために、シマフクロウが住めるような広葉樹がなくなっていることが分かりました。
By researching the forest in Biratori town, it became apparent that a lot of the hardwood trees, they have been cut down for commercial purposes, and instead, a fast-growing pine wood has been planted. Therefore, the fish owl didn't have enough trees for them.
そのため、このように人工的な巣箱を設置しています。
Therefore, as you can see, we have placed a man-made birdhouse.
また、シマフクロウの餌は魚などの魚類ですが、人間が住みやすいように川を整備し、支流には土砂を防ぐために、砂防ダムやチタンダムが作られているため、シマフクロウが住む山の奥まで魚が遡上できない状況となっています。
And the fish owl survives on fish. However, the river, nearby rivers have been organized in the best way for the human habitat. Therefore, the tributaries have the dams being built nearby. Therefore, it is very difficult for the fish owl to capture the fish that they need.
そこで、このように、魚道を作って、生息範囲を広げ、魚類も多く住める森づくりを行っています。
Therefore, we have provided these streams that, as you can see in the slide, to make sure that the fish could flow into the river. So we have made an effort to include the forest to be able to live in these forests.
2つ目は生物多様な森づくりです。
And the next is creating biodiverse forest.
私たちが求めるイオロは、経済林や環境保全だけを考えた森づくりとは異なり、そこからさらに自然再生力を持ったアイヌ文化を支える資材を供給する森です。
And the iwor that we're looking to create is not to build a commercial forest or the forest that is just focused on the environmental preservation. We are aiming for something extended from that. We want the forest to have the naturally restoring powers to provide the materials that is necessary for the Ainu people and its culture.
今ある森林を管理するフォレスターの育成をしながら森を保全し、アイヌが利用してきた広葉樹を森に増やすために植樹を行っています。
We plant trees to make sure that there will be more hardwood trees that Ainu people need and used historically. And we also educate the current foresters who look after the forest.
ですが、現在、エゾシカがとても増え、農作物はもちろん森まで食害が広がっており、次の世代が育っていないことが分かりました。
One of the challenges that we face is that the increase in Yezoshika deer, the number of them have greatly increased, which is affecting the farming fields. But they're having an effect into the forest.
自生している植物たちが種を飛ばしても、私たちが苗を植樹しても、芽を出しては鹿に食べられてしまうため、高さ約3メートルの柵を立て、柵の中に植樹しています。
The young trees, whether it is cultivated through nature or through us, as soon as they sprout out of the ground, Yezoshika deer would eat them. So we have built fencing, which is 3 meters high.
3つ目は狩猟文化と精神文化の継承です。
And the third is to promote and protect protection and promotion of the hunting culture as well as spirituality.
先ほどエゾシカがとても増えているとお話ししましたが、その原因はハンターの人口が減っていることが原因です。
I have explained that the number of Yezoshika deer has increased, and that is strongly linked to the decrease in the number of hunters.
現在の日本の法律では、アイヌが伝統的に行ってきた狩猟というのはほとんど禁止されていますし、銃などの許可されている狩猟方法でさえも、森に入るのには様々な手続きがあり、さらに狩猟を行ってもいい区間というのはほんの一部です。
In the current Japanese policies, the historical Ainu hunting method is being prohibited. And even with guns, there are many permits that needs to be taken. Therefore, the number of hunters are very low, and the areas which hunters could hunt is extremely limited as well.
現在はエゾシカを駆除することによって森林の保全につながるという切り口からアイヌの狩猟文化、精神文化を継承していくための人材や空間づくり、さらに伝統的な狩猟方法が実践できるような空間を将来作りたいと思い取り組んでいます。
But we are working hard to control the number of Yezoshika deer to protect the current forest, to make sure that Ainu hunting culture and its spirits are being passed on, to create the space that is best suited for its culture and community.
4つ目に伝統技術の習得です。
And the fourth is to passing on the traditional skills.
このプロジェクトは生物多様な森を再生させるだけでなく、文化を継承する担い手の育成も目的の一つとなっているため、森から採取した資材を利用し、民具の複製や狩猟採集した肉や山菜は食文化の継承として活用しています。
We don't just focus on the preservation of the forest from the environmental point of view. We make sure that the culture associated with it, including the wood, to be passed on and transmitted. Therefore, utilizing the hardwood that we have captured from the forest to be used in the crafts making, and the meat that is being hunted to be passed on through food culture, as well as wild mountain vegetables.
これまで紹介してきた業務は一つのサークルとなっています。
And all those four elements that we have shared, they are in a cycle.
生物多様な森づくりを進めていくことで文化を継承していくための資材が確保され、その資材を活用して伝統技術が継承されます。
By promoting biodiverse forest making, we can ensure that we have enough materials to further promote the culture, and by doing so, the historical skills are being passed on.
アイヌは獲物を取ることを迎えると表現しますが、迎えた後は送るという儀式を行いますので、制作物を儀式などで活用しながら精神文化を継承していきます。
In Ainu culture, hunting is being seen as welcoming them into the culture. But once they have been welcomed, they carry on and they conduct a ritual called send-off. But by conducting those cycles, make sure that their spirit is being passed on.
また、狩猟を行うことは文化継承だけでなく、生態系のバランスを取ることで森が守られ、シマフクロウが住めるような巨木がたくさん自生しているイウォロとなるのです。
As I've explained, hunting is not just as part of the Ainu cultural activities. It creates a balance. It keeps the balance within the biodiversity of the forest, and that would encourage the biodiverse forest which the fish owl could live, which creates iworo.
そしてこのサークルが人を作ります。
And the cycle, such as these, create people.
私は、ニブタニで生まれ育ちました。
I was born in Nibutani, was
Ainu.
raised in Nibutani.
アイヌに対しての差別が残っていた中、ニブタニだけは、アイヌ民族の人口が多く、差別がほとんどない環境でした。
At the time I was born, there was still strong prejudice against Ainu people, but Nibutani was renowned that there weren't any prejudice.
ですが、アイヌとしてのなりわいというのはほとんどないため、若い子は都会へ出ていくことが多く、私自身も、地元を出て働いていた時期がありました。
This was linked to the high Ainu population in Nibutani, but unfortunately, there aren't enough work that Ainu people could take on to utilize the culture that they were raised in. Therefore, many young people would go into the urban areas. And I myself have experienced working away from Nibutani.
私が勤めるアイヌ文化振興公社は5年前に設立し、国の交付金を活用して雇用ができたことによって、職員が23名います。
And the promotional ink that I am working at was set up 5 years ago, using the subsidiary that was granted by the government, and this enabled the promotional ink to hire 23 members.
そして平均年齢33歳と若い世代が多く働けており、アイヌ文化を継承しつつ、一人一人が自分らしく働ける仕事が、地元にあるという環境が、私は誇りと感じています。
The average age of staff members are 33, so young generation are being hired. And I am extremely proud that there is an environment for the young generations to be proud of their roots and to be able to promote its own culture.
このような文化を継承していく担い手を育成しながら、それをなりわいとしている会社はなかなかないと思いますし、こういったなりわいがあるからこそ、お互いを高めながら自分の好きなアイヌ文化、例えば木彫や舞踊、そしてアイヌ語を継承していくことができます。
I don't believe there are many organizations such as this, which is their core purpose is to promote and preserve its own culture, but at the same time to be able to educate and further make sure that there will be the next generation to be able to take on these tasks. And as well to learn more about the culture, but also to work on wood carving, dance, and to protect Ainu language, which are passions of ourselves. It is extremely valuable.
最後になりますが、このプロジェクトの課題となっている自然破壊については、地球に住んでいる生物みんなで考えていくべき問題だと思っています。
Last but not least, the elements that I have talked about, protecting the natural environment, to make sure that we preserve these natural habitat is not just limited to one region, but it should be discussed on a global level.
私たちもまだまだ取り組めることがあるため、このようななりわいをもっと増やしていきたいと思っています。
There are a lot of the things that we could do as well. So I would like to make a further effort and work to promote this topic.
以上で全ての報告を終わります。ありがとうございました。
And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's quite an interesting story, isn't it? We're going to set out some chairs now so that our speakers can return and you have the opportunity to ask any questions.
And in elementary school as well as middle school, but they can learn the language.
In the national level, now a graduate, recent and 10 years ago, generally the scheme of the teaching model in the all of the school level, the educational level from elementary school to the high school changed. And now every year, gradually including the description about Ainu people and Ainu culture in the textbook. But problem is textbook side is including the information and knowledge about Ainu people and Ainu culture. But on the other hand, not enough number of the teacher who can teach of the Ainu culture or Ainu language. It's a problem. And also in the Ainu's issue is a very national level issue. But on the other hand, is interest of the ordinary people especially main island side, including Tokyo and Osaka and main island in Honshu side, people not so much interested in the Ainu culture and people. They are thinking about is a very small regional issue of Ainu issue only in Hokkaido. It's not generally or whole of Japan. It's a problem. So we need to more encourage of the teacher who can teach or tell about Ainu culture for children. Yes, yeah.
Thank you for your question. We held a series of events in January about Ainu language, for example, and one presentation from the primary school teacher in Nibutani, where there are only around 15 pupils, was talking about the project that the 5th and 6th years were doing, which they took on themselves. It was a choice, it was a subject that they could choose themselves for that particular year. And that was all about discrimination and what discrimination means. Nibutani is very active in Biratori in this case. Thank you. Do we have another question? Shall we go to the back, please? Yes, if you could keep your hand up so we can hear your question through line. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear?
We can hear, yes.
Thank you all for your talk. My question is also about Ainu language. And I just wondered approximately how many fluent speakers of the Ainu language are there? And if there are, how does people, when they speak their own Ainu language, how does that perception respond to nature and how people see their own environment and nature through their own Ainu language?
Complex question. We have a section in the exhibition all about Ainu language. Our exhibition is open until 8:30 this evening. It's free of charge. You're most welcome to visit.
How
about place names? Something is very interesting, yeah?
Yeah.
地名については、多分。
じゃあ、ちょっとスピーカーについてはちょっと考えて。そうですか。今何人ぐらい喋れる人がいる？And fluently speaking the Ainu language in the case in Nibutani community, only 5 people. Yeah. But in the elementary school, in the Nibutani elementary school, have a class, teaching class of Ainu language. Small children now learn about the Ainu language, maybe in the increasing the number of the speaker in the future. But now it's facing the very endangered situation now. And it's have a very strong influence of discrimination of the past policy, the governmental policy, long time prohibited Ainu speaking the Ainu language, and also have no chance to learn about own language in the public education. Because of the 50s and 60s generation, people have impossible to speak of the own language with children. Yes, you mentioned it's very interesting. It's a place name of Ainu language. It's a lot in Hokkaido. For example, in city of Sapporo, is the capital city in Hokkaido, also originally came from Ainu language. Of course, you mentioned correctly, if people recognize the Ainu language, changing the view of the landscape. But many of the situation is the people just using the place name originally from the Ainu language kind of symbol. People know the name of Sapporo, in name of the city, Ashibetsu, Bibai, probably from not in Japanese and from Ainu language. But many people don't know the real meaning. Meaning of a place name don't know. It's not mentioned about it. So it's very important that we recognize of the place name of a mountain, name of a river, name of place, and where it came from, what kind of meaning. It's very important as a kind of first step of learning of Ainu language. I think so.
Thank you. We held a workshop in January as well with speakers of the Ainu language, with speakers of other minoritized languages in the British Isles, that from Guernsey, the Isle of Man, Cornwall, Wales, for example. Ainu is like Manx and Cornish in the way that it's considered critically endangered by UNESCO. Thank you for your question. Maybe we have another question.
今日は素晴らしい講演どうもありがとうございました。日本語で質問させてもらっていいですか。2つあるんですけれども、1つは、沖縄では、医者半分、ユタ半分という言葉があるんですけれども、アイヌの方たちにもシャーマニズムっていうものが、そういう役割を担われている方がいらっしゃるのかっていうことが、一つ。で、もう一つは、私も、
Okay. I'll translate the first question. Thank you for amazing presentations. There is a saying in Okinawa that when we consider health, half of it is being taken on by doctors, half is taken on by shaman. So the question was, does Ainu people have practice any shamanism, or do they, do they have a similar concept?
今はいない。
ビラトリでは今はいないと思います。
Yes, we believe there aren't any in Biratori of those shaman-like figures.
わかりました。
ごめんなさい。
そうですね。多分かつてはいらっしゃったんだと思うんですけれども、もう一つの質問は、なんか縄文文化っていうのが最近多分見直されてきていて、なんか争いの跡が、武器っていうものが本当になかったとか、争いの跡がないとか、自然信仰というか自然をとても大事にしていて、自然と同化して共生して生きている文化っていうものが、私たちの一番古い民族だった縄文人がしていたのではないかっていうふうに言われていて、アイヌの方はそういう遺伝子を色濃く残されていると伺ったので、もしかして日本人がたくさんアイヌの方から学べることってあるんじゃない、これからあるんじゃないかっていうふうに思うんですけども、なんかそういう声っていうのは、なんかリンクというか、なんか研究者の方から声が上がってたりとか、なんかするんですかね。
リンク。
そうですね。研究者の方が、例えばこう入ってきて、そういう。
We have it in English, at least. Sorry to start with. Can we maybe?
So the second question is at the links between the German culture as well as Ainu culture, if there are any, because there are more interest towards German culture because it has been said that there are, they don't find as much evidence that they were fighting against each other, like all the tribes were in harmony with each other. So as the question was that probably, Ainu people seem to have a lot of German influences. So would you say that there are enough links? Would you, academically, has it been established between the two?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the good question. Yes, of course. We now, it's not only the academic side. We are realized now that we are facing a very environmental crisis. So, and destroyed in their natures. So we can learn about a lot from the prehistoric German cultures, people. They are how to survive and live to it together with the nature. So relationship between the nature and the human, in modern time, we are just using the opposite position in nature and the human. But in the primitive people, like Jomon people living together with nature, the nature is not just nature, it's kind of a neighbor of the people. So in we Jomon people and people, we can see the similar perspective. And people also, they call it the kamuy. Everything included kamuy. In the forest and the tree, is water and fish and mountain, they can see in the kamuy, like kind of spirits. So nature and the people have not the position at opposite. So there have a main harmony and living together and share in respect. Most important, respect for the nature. So that's kind of the philosophy now at this moment we have to learn from the Jomon and Ainu both sides. I think so.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. Does mean, though, that we do have the exhibition open until 8:30. There we go. And until April as well. So please do come and visit if you can't stay this evening. It will answer a lot of questions that you may already have in your mind where indications were given today into the presentation. We also have a film screening about the community in Nibutani as well. It's very well worth seeing. Please do come and see that. That's on Sunday, the 17th of March and Wednesday, the 27th of March, with a talk with the director of the film as well. And we also have a gallery tour, Ainu Connections, surprising links between Biratori and the UK. As you'll find out in the exhibition, there are several really quite surprising links with this small community and the UK. Please do go and visit the exhibition and find out, or join our gallery tour. In March, we will have another visit from our friends in Biratori. They will be conducting workshops and demonstrations of wood carving and of embroidery in Ainu textiles. But I would like you to join me in thanking all of our speakers this evening. Thank you very much indeed to everybody, to Kato Hirofumi, to Shimano Kenji, to Nagano Tamaki, and to Kimura Misaki. Thank you very much.